Royal Duality, Tales for the Silent One, Chapter 6.
The dreamer was desperately trying to break free from the High Cleric's control, but was powerless to do anything without aid. Back in the forest, Christian and the diplomat convinced the group that the dreamer wasn't in control of himself. They therefore decided that they would save both the wizard and the dreamer from the castle. When they approached the front gates, the Sprite Knight remarked that the castle appeared untouched from the outside. The beautiful white stone was as bright as ever. There were no signs of decay, which was strange considering there was a terrible fire. A deep and powerful magic must have protected the castle's exterior from the devastation. The beautiful building was as resplendent as ever. The princess had mentioned that the castle gates would only open for a Fey Royal. The diplomat knew that this was the best way to put his lineage to the test. His anxiety about being the true prince was justified. The usurper had been pretending to be Prince Evergreen for years, and the Flowerberry royal family either knew about him being a fraud or were willing to see past it. If the diplomat reclaimed the throne, the Fey Forest kingdoms would be thrown into chaos. He held his breath and approached the entrance, secretly hoping the doors wouldn't open at all. Everyone, aside from Christian, looked baffled. Sam, the Sprite Knight, was the one who would break the silence.
Lou, what are you...
I have to try this. I did it.
What? It's not possible. Unless... Lou... You're...
The true prince, Louis Evergreen. The final member of your family bloodline.
Huh?
Lou. Prince Louis. I know this is a shock. I can't imagine the confusion you're experiencing right now, but we must act quickly. You have power over this castle. We might be able to use that to our advantage, but if we don't act quickly, the element of surprise will be lost.
After all this time, No. You're right, Christian. We don't have time for this. Not now. We have to save Oliver. We need to be careful. Sam, can you go first?
Yes. Would you prefer I call you Lou still?
Yes, please. Let's keep things the same for now. Princess Lily, stay close to Sam. Warren and I will stay close to Christian.
Lou is a prince. Then that means...
Come on! We don't have time to waste.
Oh, coming.
That means I have to marry him?
According to tradition, a Fey princess is expected to marry a Fey prince, which explains a lot about why Fey are the way they are. But let's spare a thought for our dear princess. Her mind was racked with doubts. Had her parents innocently believed the usurper was the real prince, or were they keeping the truth from her? She didn't know, and never found out. No one did. They got off completely scot-free. Or did they? Every kingdom has its secrets, you know. Still, the princess vowed that she would put things right, that the true prince would take his place, regardless of the consequences. She also decided that she would love for love's sake, and refuse to marry Prince Louis if it was forced upon her. Well, isn't she lucky? She can make that kind of decision for herself without suffering any consequences. It's fair to say that everyone in the group had their own cares and worries, but the Sprite Knight Sam hid hers. Not surprising when you consider they were about Warren, the Lycan. He confided in Sam that he has been visited by a spider in his dream, one that promised him salvation from his curse, if he did what she told him. Her faith in Warren had never been put to the test. Despite his unpredictable tendencies, things had always worked themselves out in the end. But the way he talked about the spider caused Sam to worry. She'd heard that vampires worshipped deities. One was a spider called Ira. What if the spider was the deity herself, and the plan was to turn Warren against the group? We shall see what happens next in the next part of the tale. For now, we know that the diplomat became a prince in a moment. Surely, that's the end of it. We all await the next segment where the group will enter the castle and the final chapter of the story begins? Not quite. Remember that Christian already knew that the diplomat was the prince. But how did he know? Why didn't he mention anything? I can answer the first question, but not the second. Well, not yet. You'll find out soon enough. But I will say this. Christian cherished his memories of growing up in Evergreen Forest. There was one special encounter that was more important than all the others.
It was a short encounter. Everything was so bright. I couldn't stay outside long. I was weak in the sun. But I was so excited to see the royal procession. The flowers were so colorful and everyone was having fun. I'd never seen anything like that before. Then, I saw the prince himself. It felt like a miracle. Well, I was shy. I hid behind my mom at first. But then he looked at me and waved. Mom pushed me forward. The prince smiled and passed me a flower. I don't know. I'd never had a present before. I was just overjoyed. It doesn't seem like much, but it meant everything to me. And then I kept it safe. I have it, even now. It's pressed in a book. I took it to the underworld, because it was a gift from the royal prince, after all. You don't get those every day. The only evergreen treasure I'm not willing to part with. I'd like to show him one day. I'd like to give him a good memory to reflect on. But I think it might be a long time before I can show him that flower. But I can be patient. I can wait. After all, this was all my fault. I'm sorry, Prince Louis. I'm sorry about everything. But I'll make it right. I promise.
When the group approached the castle doors, Christian announced that from this point onwards, he would work alone. He promised to save Sirius. The others reluctantly agreed. There was no time left to debate or argue. With Oliver and Sirius at risk, the group had to split up. The princess and prince would negotiate with Helmrich. Sam and Warren were more tactical. They decided to search for Oliver proactively. A good idea if Count Helmrich didn't cooperate with the Fey Royals.
I have returned!
Huh?
Ranistar, it's only me. Don't be so skittish.
You scared the bloody life out of me. We were just getting to the good part.
Were the previous installments not to your liking?
They're all right. You can't compete with Xavier, though.
Come. Sirius and I are very different storytellers, that's all. I'm a bard, after all. I save my artsy prose for my songs.
Don't sell yourself short. I liked your storytelling.
And here I am thinking that demonkind would support each other. I'm hurt. But I suppose I can't compete when you're Xavier's biggest fan. Paying for the golden seat. Well, the Feast and Tales package is a fraction of that price, isn't it?
Don't hint at me. You've already mentioned you want a tip. I'll give you one. I'm just considering the amount, alright?
So, Sirius, Did you find him and sort things out?
The guard had found him before I did, and he's on his way back to where he ought to be. Thank goodness. Now, my lovely guests, are you ready for law?
You mean ready for more? Yeah, more drink, that is. Tough crowd. Xavier can carry on telling the story whilst you bring the round in.
I shall happily hand over upon your return, Maestro.
Seems like your number one fan is eager for a personal audience. Very well. I suppose the customer is always right. I can grab myself a friendly glass whilst I'm at it.